yeah, before we start, make sure to like, subscribe, and press the bell icon to get notifications for all our new videos. Number 10. Rudius Gray Rat from the anime Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Some of you may think this is cheating since the first season of Mushoku Tensei isn't even over, but then again, Studio Bind is clearly going all out for this adaptation with a stunning setting and visual storytelling. Rudius started out in his new world as a magically adept child, but his character acting is already interesting thanks in part to the animators and character designers. The story, specifically the light novel, is considered a pioneering isekai title alongside Sword Art Online. It helped create the tone and tropes of the modern generic isekai shows, and many are eager to see how Rudius grows in the long run, literally and figuratively.
Luck and Logic. In the year LC 922, mankind faces an unprecedented crisis. Following the conclusion of a 100-year war on the mythical world of Tetraheaven, the losing Majin sought a safe haven and invaded the human world Septia. The government is forced to fight by employing Logicalists belonging to ALCA, a special police that protects the streets from foreigners of another world. Logicalists are given a special power that allows them to enter a trance with goddesses from the other world. One day, Yoshichika Tsurugi, a civilian who is lacking logic and lives peacefully with his family, meets the beautiful goddess Athena while helping people escape from a Majin attack. She wields the logic that Yoshichika should have lost. This leads Yoshichika to an unexpected destiny with Athena. The future of the world depends on the luck and logic and these Logicalists.
Number 8. ReZero, starting life in another world, released in 2016 and still going. ReZero tells the story of a young boy named Natsuki Subaru who gets abducted to another world. This is when a magical girl comes to his rescue, and to repay her, he decides to help her find a stolen item that she's looking for. But everything does not turn out so well, as during their journey of hunting down the item, both of them get killed. Fortunately for Subaru, he returns to a point zero, where he attempts to relive his life again and fix everything that went wrong during the first attempt. He uses this power to not only save the life of the magical girl, but also many other innocents in this strange new world. The one obvious commonality between the two shows is that they're both isekai, where the main characters, Toya and Subaru, find themselves in unknown lands. The boys, despite being quite powerful in the new world, try to achieve multiple outcomes and don't confine themselves to one positive goal. Toya from In Another World with My Smartphone tries to help everyone he can with his newfound abilities. Similarly, Subaru shows a lot of courage and tries to achieve the best possible outcome that he can get from all of his actions. If you're looking for somewhat of a time loop anime that reminds you of sci-fi Hollywood classics like Groundhog Day and Source Code, you should definitely check this one out. Number 7. Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, released in 2016 and still going. Sato Kazuma is a typical NEET who never really leaves his home and has no formal education. But even then, when it comes down to saving the life of a stranger one day, he does not hold himself back. Unfortunately for him, the girl he tried saving was not exactly in any kind of trouble, and what's even worse is that he ended up dying during this act. He is then constantly mocked by a goddess named Aqua, who, out of pity, gives him a second chance. She tells him that in order to go back to his normal life, he must kill the Demon Lord in this new world. She also offers him the option of choosing any one ability that he would like to use for executing this mission. But in the haze of panic and exasperation, he ends up asking for the goddess's company instead of a weapon or an ability. Aqua's whole plan pretty much backfires at her, and she is forced to join him on his little adventure. To add to his miseries, two other annoying girls join him on his journey. In Another World with My Smartphone and Konosuba are both isekai that depict the involvement of a godly figure when their protagonists are transferred to a new world. Also, the two characters get familiar with their abilities way too quickly, and instead of panicking in their new worlds, they actually start off really well. But since Konosuba is more of an ecchi, the main character is extremely perverted, and his mischievous acts often land him in unwanted trouble. If you're looking for an isekai that is full of hilarious fan service, then this is the show you should go for. That time I got reincarnated as a slime, released in 2018 and still going. Satoru Mikami is a middle-aged man who does not really hate his monotonous life, but is not too content with it either. But everything changes when he gets stabbed by an assailant on the street one day. Before dying, he starts hearing strange voices, and as soon as he opens his eyes, he realizes that he's in a strange new world with the physical appearance of slime. He then comes to know that he also possesses the ability to mimic the appearance of anything just by devouring it. With a new sense of purpose now, he uses these powers to bring some changes in this new world and decides to leave his old boring life behind. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime is another popular isekai title. Like In Another World with My Smartphone, even this one has more of a comic tone, and it features a unique protagonist who is driven by his strong sense of purpose. Both the protagonists actually feel good after escaping into their new worlds and don't even think about looking back. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime is another fantasy comedy that has been overly hyped but is still quite entertaining.
Number 5. The Rising of the Shield Hero, released in 2019. The Rising of the Shield Hero is yet another gaming isekai that adopts more of a lolly harem theme, and in the end, it reminds you of nothing but Sword Art Online. But despite its unoriginality, the anime manages to stand out through its excellent narration. Later, it even touches other interesting themes that may not seem too evident in the beginning. You might have gotten sick of how repetitive isekai anime can get at times, but if you end up skipping this one solely because of that, then you're seriously missing out on a good show. Number 4. Log Horizon, released in 2013. Log Horizon starts off as just another ripoff of Sword Art Online before it turns out to be a hidden gem in the world of isekai anime. It has its own elements of fantasy, but it doesn't focus too much on battles. Instead, it emphasizes on the importance of strategy and manipulation in the gaming world where all the characters of the anime live. It's these ideas that make Log Horizon much better than other similar shows of the genre. It has some heavy plot holes that will be evident to most viewers, but at the end of the day, it's enjoyable and engaging. I mean, isn't that why we watch anime in the first place? Nope.
Number 3. In Another World with My Smartphone, released in 2017. Yes, In Another World with My Smartphone is essentially a harem anime, but it's a decent isekai as well. Plus, its lead character Toya Mochizuki is a genuinely likable human being like Eru. After being mistakenly killed by God, he readily agrees to live in another world, provided he can take a smartphone with him. Both Eru and Toya are gifted magic users and often inspire others through their actions to better themselves. Number 2. Outbreak Company, released in 2013. Outbreak Company centers around a character named Kano Shinichi who somehow gathers the courage to propose to his childhood friend. Unfortunately for him, he gets rejected and is totally shattered. While looking for a job online, he comes across a strange yet interesting ad asking for an otaku. He decides to give it a shot, and being the hardcore otaku that he is, he easily nails the interview. This is when he gets magically transported to an alternate world where the government expects him to spread the otaku culture. He accepts the challenge and sets out on a mission to popularize the one thing he's passionate about. Outbreak Company, just like In Another World with My Smartphone, later turns into a typical harem comedy. The main characters of both the shows become quite enthralled about their new worlds instead of complaining about it. They also feel a strong sense of purpose because, compared to the real world, they are actually seen as heroes after getting summoned. If you observe carefully, you'll also notice a lot of cultural references in both. Number 1. Haruhiro from the anime Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions. To this day, Grimgar remains to be one of the most refreshing isekai and fantasy series in anime history. The first episode alone grabbed my attention with its nuanced take on monster killing and newbie party dynamics. Haruhiro wasn't meant to lead the squad in the first place. He was just an anxious thief-class member who did his best to cheer up his pals. But something happens in the series, and he's thrown into the role of leader. Haruhiro stumbles in his new position and often contends with himself, questioning his value when his pals are getting invited to other parties. Yet he improves bit by bit, and I can't help but root for him.